Okay, we are going to start for those of you who are here on time. And this is our very last workshop that we're doing. It's our fifth one in this kind of celebration of the elements. Our first one was on the earth and gardens. Our second one was on water. Our third one was on air. And our last one was on fire. And all of those are up on our YouTube site, Yoga Moments with Susan, so that you can see them if you want to share them or even do it again. I know a couple of weeks ago I couldn't sleep, so I put one on and did the whole workshop myself. That was kind of fun. Well, what I would like to do is just to welcome you and to let you know that today this is really a combination of Hatha Yoga, breathing to really strengthen our capacity to breathe, and it also is about storytelling, movement, yoga postures, the Hatha Yoga postures, and it's very much about just artistic exploration into things that we can get smarter about. Now today, our fifth and final workshop is about wood. And wood is going to be covered a little bit more by Paul, who absolutely is a complete tree lover. And he will share many things, including a beautiful slideshow with you. And then stones, and I'm the big stone person, and I'm very interested in archaeology. And if we did not have our histories carved into stones or painted onto stones, we would not really know our past. We would not really know what came before. So it was the stones that allowed things to be preserved, including statues and pyramids and other such churches like Lalibela in Ethiopia. And so we have these wonderful relics of the past. And I'll be leading in a while a guided meditation in which I think you're going to really have fun being an archaeologist in your own past. Now, some of the things that we're going to cover with stones are also gemstones. Now, gemstones are things like diamonds and emeralds and rubies and amethysts. And for many, many thousands of years, people have attributed certain qualities of strength. If you wear an amethyst, what will happen? Well, you'll have a lot more peace if you wear amethyst. You'll have more inspiration. And if you wear turquoise, you'll have a sense of peace and wisdom. And if you wear, for example, a pearl, you'll have more integrity, more purity. So each of these stones, and they're also connected to our astrological signs, and mine's amethyst, so I'm wise and peaceful. That's what my qualities of that stone are if I wear them. So what you associate with or you're drawn to has power. And we're going to start with Paul, who's going to introduce a beautiful song that he's written about trees. Paul.
Thank you very much. I have to confess that this is a song which I've borrowed from myself because I used to do an assembly program for elementary schools about trees and why they're so important in our life. Well, as you know, oxygen, all that stuff. So I'm going to stand up and point out some of the trees I'm going to sing about. So because when I'm singing, the words go by pretty fast. And so let me just point out my personal connection to many of these trees. My grandmother lived in a 3-story house, and it was a beautiful house in the countryside in England, in Somerset, and that's where I spent 10 years of my youth. And just outside the house was a beech tree, and this beech tree was taller than my grandmother's 3-story house, and you could actually climb up inside the tree and climb out the very top, and you could stick your head out above the top branch, and I could look around and I thought I could see the whole world. And I also had a hammock up there, and lying in the hammock I could just look at the beautiful light-colored leaves and just fall in love with that beech tree, and all trees really. So that's the beech tree. The yew tree. You know, they used to grow those in the churchyards in England in the old days to make sure the soldiers had enough wood to make their bows. Boom! And arrows. That was before guns. Of course, arrows come from a different tree, but the yew tree has got very springy wood. The redwood, from California, we know that one, very, very tall. Ginkgo from China. They give us medicine, and if you look inside coal, very often you can find the leftovers of the leaves of the ginkgo tree. They've been around for millions of years. This is one that gave me a nice surprise when I arrived in America, the maple tree, and maple syrup. I didn't know about maple syrup growing up, but that's in New England, of course. Here's one from Australia, the mountain ash. It's a tall one from down there. The plane tree. The plane tree. Have you been to London and seen those mottled barked trees through many of the streets in London? Beautiful trees, those ones. Mulberry. Where I grew up in Durban, in our garden, we had a mulberry tree. And lots of the neighborhood kids came and took the leaves to feed their silkworms. That was a craze that was going on at that time. But be very careful with mulberries. Do not put a mulberry in your pocket. Your mother will get mad at you. They stain very badly. The hazelnut, nut tree of course. Mango. Good tropical fruit. Eucalyptus, what a long name. I give it the short name, gum tree. That's from Australia. They sometimes call it the Australian weed. It grows so easily in many different countries now, not just Australia. And the Baobab. This is definitely one of my favorites. The huge trunk, you remember that you've seen pictures of it? Huge trunk, silly little branches. They look more like roots, really. And one interesting thing, if you take your pocket knife and you stab it into the tree, you can hardly get your knife out because the tree grabs it so tight you can't pull it out. The bark is more like cork. It's very hard to pull it out. So those are some of the songs, some of the trees I'll be singing about. And this is the chorus, because this song does have a chorus. I'll get my guitar and quickly teach you the chorus. So I'll sing first and you just echo me on the chorus. Save the forest, sing, save the forest, save the trees, save the trees, save the air for us to breathe, save the air for us to breathe, save trees, please, save trees, please. Sing with me, save the forest, save the trees, save the air for us to breathe, save trees, please. Australia's got the gum tree, koalas love to chew. In every English churchyard you'll always find a yew. And here in California the redwood's very tall. We need each single one of them, yes, we need them all. Sing the chorus, save the forest, save the trees, save the air for us to breathe, save trees, please. China's got the ginkgo, a prehistoric tree. New England's got the maple, whose sap is syrupy. Zambia's got the baobab, they say it's upside down. Its branches look like crooked roots high above the ground. Sing the chorus, save the forest, save the trees, save the air for us to breathe, save trees, please. There are mulberry trees and mango trees and peach and plum and pear. Not only do they give us fruit, they purify the air. There's hazelnut and coconut and mountain ash and plane. If they could speak, they'd tell us, please sing this refrain. That's the chorus, save the forest, save the trees, save the, slow down, save, no, not yet, trees. There's still one more verse. Oh, I forgot that one. There, let's see where we are. So take a little sapling, or it's been a long time since I did this in schools. So take a little sapling, or take a little seed, a little soil and water, that is all you need. Do the world a favor, plant a tree or two. Even if you're very young, it's something you can do. Sing the chorus, save the forest, save the trees, save the air, now slow down. Save trees, please. Okay.
Well, there's something pretty interesting about trees that I don't think Paul mentioned, and that is that trees are useful for us when they're alive. Certainly they produce oxygen, which we then exchange into carbon dioxide, which we give back to them. But they also are very helpful to us after they've lived their life and they're no longer living. So we make furniture, we make houses, we do a lot of building and a lot of craft work with trees. So dead or alive, trees are very close and very important to us. I want to, before I go into our next section, which will be breathing and some yoga exercising on a very simple level, I want to give you 3 quotes that I associate with stones. Because remember I said I'm going to be dealing with stones. Paul's particularly going to be dealing with trees. Now, these 3 quotes, I'm just going to refer to them so I can get them correct. Mother Teresa, who's been one of my personal favorite guides in life, said, "I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone in the water and cause many ripples." So I like that quote a lot about stones, and that's what hopefully we all do in our lives with each other. The next quote is by a man named William Arthur Ward, and he wrote, "We can choose to throw stones, we can stumble over them, we can climb onto them or over them, or we can build with them." So think about stones in your life, metaphorically or actual stones, and those are some of your choices. And then there's Confucius, another wise person that I am very inspired by, because his words continue to be truthful. And he says, "The man who can move a mountain begins by carrying away small stones." So in other words, nothing is too large if you take it apart and you just begin with the simplest steps. And that's what we're going to do right now. I'm going to begin with some breathing. And breathing, especially now, where we have this whole pandemic that we have all been trying to keep ourselves healthy and not invite into our own personal lives. One of the things that's been the most harmful to people are lungs, and lung capacity not being as strong as ideally it should be. But even in normal life, breathing can help relax us, it can help energize us. It can really move the oxygen and the blood around our systems, or it can make us dull and make us more lethargic if we're not getting enough oxygen or breathing well. So this one I've done before, so some of you might already have been practicing it, I hope so, but now we'll do it together. It's called a 4-part breathing. The first part is an inhale that lasts 4 counts. I'll count that. Then you will hold the inhale, so you hold your lungs full of oxygen for 4 counts. Then you exhale for 4 counts. And in yoga, we encourage you to inhale and exhale through the nose. Not inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth, but inhale through the nose and exhale as well through the nose. And then the last part is holding your exhale. So you hold empty lungs for 4 counts. And that strengthens all the muscles that support the lungs. So here we go. We're going to do it 8 times. Get ready, get comfortable, sit up tall, lift your chest and draw your shoulder blades back, and then slightly drop your head or lower your focus a little bit so that you have a little bit more a downward focus rather than looking up and exposing your throat. Here we go. Round 1. And inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, and pause. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, and pause. 2, 3. Second round. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, and hold it. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3. Round 4. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4, and exhale. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3. Number 5. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3. Number 6. And inhale. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, and hold. Now try the next 2 on your own. Go. Inhale. Last one. And just take what we call recovery breaths. Just breathe any way you feel like breathing. Just breathe. Good. All right. Now, I'm going to guide you through some very simple, basic sitting chair or sitting on the floor yoga poses. You can easily sit on the floor, and I noticed some of our younger people were already on the floor. So if you're on the floor, just cross your legs comfortably. We call that Sukhasana, easy pose. And if you're sitting, just press your feet into the earth to really ground yourself. Now, the first thing we're going to do is to bring our hands to our heart. And when we bring our hands into a position, it's called a mudra. Heart. This is a hand position, and it's the heart mudra, so it's Anjali, which means heart mudra. And we're going to take a breath in through our nose, bring it above our heads, and then glide it down into your heart center, and then pause. So we match the air that we breathe to the movement, so it's a matching movement. 2 more. And breathing in, you pause. You exhale through the nose if you can. Pause. Again, inhale, pause, exhale, one last one. And inhale, pause, and exhale. Pause. Great. And next we're going to do something called Kundalini Circles. You just circle your body around very gently, easily, and you stir up the pot inside yourself, the pot of energy, and you go the other way. So you want to warm up the center part called your solar plexus. That's your belly button and everything in the area above and below your belly button. One more. Good. Now you come up, and now we lift our chest. So we lift up, we look up, we lean forward like an ocean wave that's crashing to shore. We let our throat, our third eye, our crown, and then we pull back and we come up. So what you're doing here is you're warming up your spine in an undulating kind of movement, like a sound wave might look, like a snake might move. So you're going forward, you're hitting all the chakras. So this is the 3 root chakras coming up to the heart, the 3 upper chakras, and coming here. and holding. Great job. All right, this time what I'd like you to do is to take your hands and you want to lace them if you can. If that's too hard, take your thumbs. Just hook your thumbs. Now the lacing, if you're able to, I want you to turn your hands inside out and feel as if you are inside of a sphere or a ball, which is a sphere. So you come and you go down and then you come up and you bring your hands to your eyes. Then you come down again and you come up and you stretch and you come forward. So you can have a little bit of a drop feeling, drop lift, coming up, 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 up to the back of the sphere. And then you come forward and you kind of drop down and hold. Now this time, let's just come up and hold it up. So hold it up, see if you can hold it. And if you're sitting, just let your hips really hold you to the ground. And then pull off to the side. And then pull off to the other side. Good job. And then try that again, pulling your arms straight. If you can, good. And then pulling them to the other side. Good job. Now, we're going to get one more thing, a twist. Can you twist your body? It's a little hard to do because it requires a great deal of strength as well. And then we come center and we open our arms. And this time you're going to reach out and we're going to do a arc over our head. So we're stretching the sides of our body now. So you breathe in. Then you breathe out as you come to the other side. Let's try that again, coming out. Now you reach out, you breathe up and over, lateral movements, and coming down, and then you come this way, lateral movements, and coming down. Now this time we're going to add a twist. So coming up, coming here. Now can you turn and look at the floor and reach across your body? Can you come up? Can you bring this arm up so that you've got two arms reaching up? And then can you do the same thing to the other side? And then coming down. And then coming up, 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 up. And now when we add this, I'm going to ask Paul to add some sounds. And coming, circling, and circling, and circling. Good job. Maybe some bowls would be great, Paul. Now this time take your arm out and you're just going to circle it in front of your body and then in back of your body. So you're making a figure eight. So see if you can do just a figure eight and a figure eight. Now see if you can reach forward and go over your head and then twist. Now see if you can go forward, over your head, backward, and then twist. And then bring both arms to the same side. Feet and legs are facing forward unless they're crossed on the floor. Reach up. And now can you move just your head? See if you can get that head to really feel a little more open, but do not force it. And then come back. Let's try this arm. And you come forward and back. You come forward. You come back. You come forward. You come back. Now this time, let's reach forward, go around your head backwards, and you touch your shoulder. Then you reach forward again, come backwards, and then you stretch and twist. So you can hold your chair or you can just hold your knees and stretch it up, and then take your head, side, and then back, and then to the front shoulder, and then to the back shoulder. Now to make this more interesting, we're going to try both arms. I think what I'm going to do is move myself a little bit more central so you can actually see both of my arms. There, I think it's a little bit better. And we go front circle, back circle, around the head, wrap your chest. Now circle behind your head, arms come up and they come down. Then circle your shoulders, circle your elbows, circle your arms, and hold. Let's try that one more time. So I'm only doing the circling, the figure eight one time. And come front circle, back circle, around your head. Wrap your body, other arm if possible, behind your body. Up high and come down. And then here we go. Shoulders circle, elbows circle, arms circle, and hold. Good. Both arms up. Now, this time I want you to feel like a marionette, a puppet with strings. I want you to feel that, and then we're going to reach and lift and breathe in. Then we're going to let our wrists drop, our elbows drop, our shoulders drop, and we're going to open our legs and see if you can go all the way down to the floor, like a puppet whose strings have been released. You're going to take a big breath through your nose, out through your nose, and then you're going to reach up, 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 and see how high you can go again. All right, we're going to try this 4 times. It's just like the puppeteer pulls the strings and you're lifted, and then the puppeteer drops the strings and you release and stretch. Here we go. Up and drop, 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 hang down. With your head looking down at the floor, take a big breath in and a big breath out. Here we go. Strings lift, 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 lift. And you have 3 more. And and go down, hang. And breathing in and breathing out. Now, come on up, 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 and lift. 2 more. And drop, 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 drop. Hang down. And breathing in deeply. And breathing down. Let your head go. And here's your last one. Try it on your own. And when you're ready, go. Down. And then come on up. And arms down. Good job. All right. So now what I'd like to do, I'm going to try moving back a little. I'm not sure you'll be fully able to see my feet, but I want you to take one leg. If you're sitting and you're sitting like this on the floor, you can just take one leg out like this, and then you can bring it in. And you can take one leg out like this. If you're on the floor, what you'll do is just brush your heel, picking your toes up. You'll stretch your foot along the floor and push and pull yourself backward in the chair. And then you'll drag that foot in, and you'll try your other foot. So press it out. And if you're sitting on the floor, you're doing this with legs out in front of you on the floor. Stretch it, lift it. You're just doing what we call a hamstring stretch. Now take both legs out and hold your chair, pull your chair up. Now if you're on the floor, you will be leaning over your legs and you're coming down. And anyone in the chair that wants to try that can try that too. And then you're coming up. Let's try that one more time, starting with the other foot first. And pushing out, stretching up, stretching up. And if you're sitting, you can reach your arms up as well. You don't have to. And then bring it back. You're just doing a stretching of the legs. We want the legs straight. The foot is flexed. Bring it back. Now both legs out, 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 out. And if you want to, you can try stretching over your legs. Just don't fall off your chair, please. Stretching, and then come up. All right, now, I have my socks on. I'm going to take my socks off for this so that you can see my feet a little bit more. And I want to see if you can hold your foot and just take your foot and circle it. And then can you circle it the other way? Good job. All right, try the other foot and circle it. Yes? Go the other way. Good. Really get the ankle joint. All right. Now take that leg and just open it and close it. Open it and close it. And then circle it around a few times. And then go the other way and see if you can circle it the other way. Good. And then try the other leg. So you come up and you circle it. And I think I did the opening and closing first, but we'll do it last. It's the same thing. Open and close, and open and close. Now, if you're seated, you might want to go onto your back and put your feet in the air, and this is called oscillating. You just want to shake your feet in the air, laying down. If you are doing it with me, you're going to just run in place like this. So you're either on your back, kind of running and just oscillating like a bowl full of Jell-O, or you're running. And kicking your legs apart and together and apart and together and apart and together and hold. And if you are sitting, you can sit up, or if you know how to do standing half sun salutations, you can stand and do this part. We're just going to conclude this part with 4 what we call full or half sun salutations. Sorry. This is a sitting salutation, or if you did standing, you would just, you know what you're doing, and you can be on the floor. It's okay. And try it with me, breathing in. Touch. Now this time you spread your body like they were wings. You get your body flat and then you roll down to the floor and hang. Now you bring your hands up to your knees, you lengthen, you release down, and then you sweep your arms up, touching, gliding down. All right, we're going to do 4 of those. Just try and follow me, or many of you already know how to do it yourself. And breathing in, and up, and press forward. Roll down. And breathing in, and hold, and breathe out. Release. Sweep, and feel like a bird in flight. Coming down, that's it, and hold. And breathe in, and up, and press forward, and roll down, 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 down. Yes, hang. And lengthen, and release. Yes, and sweep the arm up. You have 2 more. You can do them by yourself or with me. Up. And hold. Good job. Okay, just a little bit to get our energy going. And now Paul is going to show you a wonderful slideshow that he has created. And he'll tell you about each picture, and it will appear magically, like you were really there. It will appear right on your screen.
All right. Are we ready for the slideshow?
I think we are.
I'm going to try to share some pictures with you. And these are mostly to do with wood and stone. And the first one, I'm really wondering if you've ever been to Hawaii and seen trees like this. This is where I found trees like this. Aren't they simply gorgeous? It's a rainbow eucalyptus. Now this is a monkey puzzle tree, well named. Try climbing this one. Oh, yikes, that's sharp. This slideshow is sort of a little experiment to see if our brains think anything alike. These are some of my thoughts when the topic of wood, stone, and metal comes up. First off, wood, as you know, is a marvelous substance, whether alive, or as Susan said, or dead. When trees have been cut to shape, they're considered to be lumber. That's an American term. In England, we call it timber. I just love trees. I love humans first, but trees come a close second. Here in Nepal are 2,000 tree-loving people trying out for a Guinness Book of World Records to see how many trees they can hug at once. Trees, as you know, and I was mentioning before, play a vital role in our atmosphere, producing oxygen and reducing carbon dioxide in the air, and give us a wide variety of food, including pawpaws. That's papayas for you non-English speakers. And look how reachable the fruit is, not like a lychee tree. We had 2 very tall lychee trees at my home in Durban, South Africa, when I was a child, and the lychees were way out of reach. We didn't get many lychees. The bats ate most of them. I don't think those old CDs hanging up there will scare away too many bats or any of the birds. Now here are some of my favorites. From the top left, going clockwise, some of the trees I love. A ginkgo, I was amazed to find them lining the trees of New York City when I first arrived in the middle 60s. Eucalyptus is the next one, the Australian gum tree that's found pretty much around the world now. Hazelnut, mango, peach, plane tree with their blotchy bark. I just love those and seeing them in London. Plum tree out in blossom, and the mulberry, which, it's the diet of silkworms to eat those mulberry leaves. Wood is absolutely vital in building houses like we do around here in earthquake country, where we cannot use bricks. So that's getting started, and then here's one which is almost ready for the roof. Log cabins, a very practical use for local trees. I once built a hay barn with logs and open sides, something like this, but even more simple, just a corrugated iron, single sloping roof, high up on tall eucalyptus poles, which we got from a stand of trees we had on the farm in South Africa. You plant them close together so they grow up very straight. Lucky I had a good head for heights because we put them up without any scaffolding. I really don't have to expound on it. Wood has so many uses. What is a marimba without wood? Think up your own riddle to answer that one. Such a beautiful instrument. I drool over things like this. Now these are some famous musicians, the Chopi people, C-H-O-P-I, Chopi people of Mozambique, playing some of the most sophisticated music in the whole of Africa. Beautiful homemade instruments with wild orange gourds as resonators, beeswax holding them on, leather strips called rimpis holding the notes. Never any nails or any kind of metal is used in their construction. This is Venancio Mbandi, a Chopi man, a long-time friend of the Tracy family and a brilliant musician and instrument maker whom my father used to help with supplies for his instruments. They call them timbilas, when he was away from his home base. Look at the size of those calabashes that are resonating the bass notes on the instruments at the back. All wood construction. But there's also plenty of metal in Africa. The gold mines go so deep around Johannesburg that they cannot go any deeper. It's too hot down there. The cost of cooling the air down below is more than the value of the gold they dig up. There are two kinds of mine dumps. The simple the rock dumps, like this one that people sometimes ski down, tearing up their skis, and these ones, the slime dumps. After the gold is extracted from the rock using acid, this liquid is pumped into these great dams to dry out. Diamond mines are so much easier. There are no cramped tunnels to give you a bad case of claustrophobia. I went into a diamond mine one time, and the office underground had walls that were whitewashed. You don't get dirty at all. There was hardly a shovel to be seen. Most of the work is done with machinery. This is the Big Hole, that's what it's called, the Big Hole of Kimberly in the Orange Free State of South Africa. From the year 1871 until 1914, they extracted 6,000 pounds of diamonds. That's over 13 million carats came out of this hole before it flooded. It was a chaotic scene as each prospector dug his allotted few square feet straight down in this huge open cast style of mining. Diamonds, of course, don't look like much until they're cut, more like pieces of sea glass or beach glass. They say that diamonds are the hardest things in existence. They'll last. Stones of various types are about the only things that do last and stand the real test of time. I'm talking about eons of time. Still standing after how many thousand years? No one seems to be too sure. Over 4,000 years at least. And the famous Rosetta Stone, which revealed the clues to deciphering Egyptian hieroglyphics. Now we know how to do it. Now we know, perhaps the British Museum should give it back to the Egyptians. Just a thought. Now, We can understand what was written on the walls of King Tut's tomb. Things can last a long time if they're hidden deep in caves. This is the Valley of the Kings, not far from the Nile. What a bleak, barren place to go robbing graves. Why can't we leave dead and buried people in peace? These are the Longmen grottos in Luoyang, China. From ancient times, caves have always been in demand for housing. Good idea. No repairs to the roof ever needed. I just read an article that said that as many as 70 million Chinese live in caves. Wow, can that be true? Another article put the figure at 30 million, quite a difference. Just shows how little I really know about China. The Rapa Nui Moai statues in eastern Polynesia, on Easter Island. We still don't know how they moved these monstrous weights around from the quarries where they were formed to their present positions. And they didn't even have trees on the island to help roll them along. Do we have to reinvent some sort of anti-gravity device? How else could they have done it years ago? It's the same story with Stonehenge. Amazing how small this construction is when compared to the pyramids of Giza. But they're equally famous. As a kid, the main road from where we lived in Somerset up to London went right past Stonehenge. We'd stop there to stretch our legs, and we were allowed to play among the stones at that time, even on them. Not any longer. I don't think this wooden henge in Dorset, England, will last too long. There must have been wooden henges long ago, surely. Why else would they call it Stonehenge? Why not just the henge? Carved out from the top downwards about 800 years ago, there are 11 extraordinary Christian churches in one small area of Ethiopia. King Lalibela wanted to create a new center for Christianity, and building these churches out of solid rock gave them a good chance of surviving. At least it can never catch on fire like poor old Notre Dame Cathedral. That's what happened last year. Notre Dame was also built about 800 years ago, same thing. But by 2019, the wooden rafters were tinder dry, and they had no sprinkler system up there. The obelisks of ancient Egypt all have sorts of mystical connections to the god Atum and to the Bennu bird, which is the Egyptian precursor of the Greek phoenix bird, which we talked about in last month's workshop. Cleopatra's obelisk in Paris is inscribed with hieroglyphics in honor of the pharaoh Ramesses II. It was a gift from Egypt. Constructed about 3,000 years ago, it was originally situated outside the Luxor temple, where its twin still remains. There's a similar one in New York Central Park. This Paris obelisk is 75 feet tall and weighs over 250 tons. The main part is made out of just one stone. The Washington Monument is more than 7 times taller than that Paris obelisk, but it's not one piece of rock. It's made of some 36,000 blocks of marble and granite. When it was finished in 1884, it was the tallest structure in the world at that time. Obelisks are mostly 4-sided. This next one is not, in fact, an obelisk. It's a 3-sided construction designed in the shape of a bayonet, commemorating the Duke of Wellington, also known as the Iron Duke, in honor of his victory over Napoleon at the Battle of Waterloo in 1815. I grew up in the small town of Wellington, the one that he took his name from, below the hill where this monument stands, and I've climbed up inside the narrow, winding stairs all the way to the top, where there's a tiny room, and over your head up there hangs a suspended, swinging rock that somehow helps the whole thing not blow over. Well, to end this slideshow, I simply must share with you one of my favorite trees, the Baobab. Aren't they magnificent? Some redwoods apparently have lived to be 2,200 years old. They say that the Baobabs can live even longer. I enlarged the photo. Can you see on the right there? showing the young girl, because I want you to see how she maintains such good posture in her body. I don't think she takes yoga. She takes a heavy bucket of water. You try that. It's not easy. Susan tried it one time, I have to tell you. It nearly snapped her neck off.
Well, Paul, I would like to add one thing to your slideshow, and that is the periodic table. Now, I don't know how many of you ever took chemistry. My first chemistry class was in the 10th grade at John Marshall High School in Los Angeles, and I was kind of overwhelmed by this, but then I realized that the periodic table is organized so that scientists can quickly discern the properties of individual elements, such as their mass, the electron number, the electron configuration, and their unique chemical properties. Now, metals, which we've been featuring, reside on the left side of this. There are metals that are more like in not solid form, so it would probably be a gaseous form. And then there are metals that are actually solid, like brass and iron and gold, which was mentioned, and silver. And these particular things are at the base of all science and everything that we do. And these are all the known elements of the entire universe that have been discovered and logged by our scientists. So now what I would like to do is to move from Paul's idea of stone being a place that we go to learn about our history. We've been lucky enough to go to Egypt, lucky enough to go to Mexico, lucky enough to go to Turkey recently, where we saw all these amazing things made out of stone or caves, huge number of caves. And that's how we know what happened before us. So what I'd like you to do now is to get yourself very comfortable, because I'm going to give you a guided meditation. I've created all these guided meditations with a particular element in mind. And this time we're going on an archaeological discovery, an archaeological dig. But what you're going to do is to dig into your own past, and you're going to see maybe if you can write a few things into your future that you hold deeply in your heart. So get comfortable. You can lie down on the floor, on a couch, slump in a chair, curl up on a couch. You can sit in a regular chair as I'm doing, but get comfortable so you can close your eyes. You're going to be using your imagination. Imagination is probably the most powerful tool that we as humans have to solve problems, create our future, design amazing things which all the rest of us participate in, and just for self-expression as well. So here we go. Start with just a few deep breaths. In fact, you can even let out a few sighs. Let your body be heavy and let your mind kind of wipe free of anything else you might have had on it or things to do after this workshop. But right now, make it a blank slate. As I said, this is going to be like an archaeological dig into your own past and a writing of the future. It's going to help us see what was and how we've changed. Also, what do we want to be remembered for in the future? What are the stories we have chosen to write in stone? What are the things about your life you would like to pass on to future generations? What would you like to maybe not be remembered? Maybe things that you weren't as proud about. So right now, hopefully you're excited about going on an adventure back into time to see what your life reveals. Picture yourself on an archaeological dig. You have a small shovel, several brushes to clean things off gently, and a camera. See what relics from your life and culture you can find. So as you start to look around you, what do you see? What can you find? You see something that interests you a bit, and you lean down, and when you see it, you start to understand it. You examine it, you dust it, brush it off, and you turn it in many directions. What does it tell you? What does it tell you about your past? Take a photo of it with your imaginary camera. Capture it from several perspectives. As you continue to search, as you continue to walk to different places in the dig, you find a stone tablet. You uncover it, you brush it off with one of your brushes, and amazingly, you recognize messages from your parents, perhaps even from your grandparents. As you dust it off and the words and the phrases are revealed, what do you notice? What words stand out? What language is it even written in? As you look up from where you're digging, you can see the outline of your old neighborhood, your house or apartment. You can see the outline of the streets in your neighborhood. Imagine the environment as it once was. What does it reveal now? Is it a neighborhood that is left standing, or was a freeway replacing it? Was it once a forest? What is it now? As you look up from where you are digging, you can see that there is more and more that begins to reveal itself. You find more tablets with carved diary entries, some things you did not know about, and some things that you have rediscovered right now. A few things have been destroyed or damaged, so you can't really understand them. But a few facts and objects and stories remain. What seems the most important to you to have survived from your past? Things that you valued reveal themselves to you. You find maybe a ring, a bracelet, a cup, a picture, a photograph. What memories are evoked? Maybe you even find a few coins. But this is interesting. As you look further down the path of this dig, you start to wander to something that kind of interests you. It's a statue. And as you get closer, you realize it's a statue of you. It shows your facial expression, your body posture. And as you examine it a little bit more closely, you see that there's a tribute written to you in bronze. What does it say? What does it say about your character and your accomplishments? Is this portrayal of you accurate? Why or why not? Would you have wished that there was something different that had been said? Well, in this guided meditation, you are given the opportunity to correct one thing about yourself from the past. What would you like it to be? Write this secretly in stone. Also, since this is in your imagination, you are also able to create a new lifelike statue of yourself as you most want to be remembered. So what do you see? What age would you most like to be remembered? What would you be doing in this statue? How are you dressed? Or are you not dressed? What are some of the clues that are a part of the statue that you're holding or standing near, or that are standing near you in the statue, that also give us more of the story of who you are? So take a few moments as we draw to the conclusion of this guided meditation to just think about the two questions. What would you most like to drop from your past as something that no longer suits you, or that you were ashamed of, or that didn't work out? Or maybe because of those things, something else happened that was what you wanted. And then again, what are the words carved in stone, written on a tablet, put at the base of your statue, that captures the essence of who you are in the best sense of who you know you have the capacity and the desire to be? So I'd like you to just start breathing a little bit more deeply, lengthen your breathing. And I'd like you to just reflect for a moment on the thoughts that you had as you were doing this meditation. Maybe it was a jumble of thoughts, but try to pick maybe a word. Try to pick maybe a phrase, maybe an image of the best of who you are that could be preserved. So if you have paper, if you have a journal, this is the time to take it out. If you don't have a paper journal, it's not important, because you can just write it on the slate of your mind, and you can revisit it later, and you can then, as I often do, return to those thoughts and write more about it, maybe as a letter to someone, maybe as a poem, maybe as a short story, maybe just as the jottings of words that you want to be reminded of. So take a few moments and write down what thoughts, feelings, or images came up for you. And if nothing came up, that's okay too. Just write about the fact that you didn't have images. But what would you have liked to have seen if you could have? And if you're ready to move on, you don't have to. Here's a couple of other ideas. Do you have any new insights about what things you deem important enough to have written in stone, to be remembered many years after your own physical body was here? What would you like to be remembered? Maybe by your family or your friends. What relics in your past would you like to be destroyed? If you could destroy a few things, maybe this would be the opportunity to do that. Although sometimes they're the stepping stones to more understanding of who you are. What are the key ideas you want preserved? I think I've said that in one word or another. And then finally, what did your ideal statue of yourself look like? What were you doing? What were you sitting, standing, lying down? Were you in a particular environment? like a meadow or an office? Or were you playing an instrument? And what were some of the key things that were with you in the statue that represented yourself? Maybe you're a musician and maybe you had some sheet music and that was also a part. And a music stand, your instrument. Maybe you're a mathematician and you had numbers all around you. Whatever. So hopefully you'll continue this and hopefully this will inspire you to expand upon it when you have more time to do that. And now I'd like to call Paul back because he is going to show you some instruments that owe their very existence to metal and wood. And one of them in particular is extremely unique to Paul and his family.
Well, I've been showing people this instrument for the last 70 years, and people still say, what on earth is that? But I'm sure you, being the smartest people in the whole world, have figured it out, and you know what it is. Very often you'll see someone walking through the countryside, if you go to Africa I'm talking about, and he's got his hands deep inside a calabash like this. This is called a calabash. It's a gourd, and it's got some shells on here which are designed for rattling. And you'll see him walking there with his hands inside this thing, and you don't know what's going on. What you've got to do, you've got to look over his shoulder, and then you will see that inside this gourd is an instrument like this. Now this is called a mbira, and I'll hold it a little bit closer to the camera for you so you can see what it looks like. It's wood and metal, just like the theme of this program. And these are the notes. Did you ever play a knife on a table edge? That you just make it go boing, 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 you know that? It's the same principle. The note is just vibrating. And this one is called mbira. That's the generic term that all the musicologists have decided is for this instrument, although it has many different names in different countries. And it's only found where Africans have been, in Africa or where Africans have been, but not in fact in the tribes who live right in the south of Africa, further north. And it has a curious sound. I'm not a player of this instrument, so I'm really only demonstrating the sound, not the music. And it has, can you hear how it buzzes? It sounds to electronic people who manage, the engineers, as if it's overloading. It's not overloading, it's actually buzzing. These little instruments, these little buzzes down here are designed to make that buzzing sound. It's what they like to hear out of doors. So one little clue is this. If you go to Africa and you want to find one of these instruments, as you're driving along, look for the telephone poles, and as you see, as you go by, as soon as you see one that's leaning over, stop. Because the stay wire that holds up those telephone poles, if you snip that wire, take a hammer and an anvil and beat out that wire, it'll make wonderful notes like this. So that's one clue to find African music. You won't always find it. It doesn't always come up to you in Africa. It's sometimes hard to find. Luckily, my father spent his life looking for African music, and he found out some of these tricks. Now, the big thing that my father did, and I'm so proud of him for this work, he took these mbiras, and he took the idea and realized, well, you know, it's a great idea. Why don't I just make it so that it has notes that people in the West use, not African scales, which are all different, and put a Western scale on here, and then you can play melodies. Now, here's one chord. What's this one called? I was going to play, I had a little nut tree. The king of Cain's daughter came to visit me, and all for the sake of my little nut tree. The instrument that my father made for people in the West is called the Kalimba, Or if you're being really official, it says the Hugh Tracy Kalimba, my dad's name. He put it on here. And Kalimba is a nice word because it means little music. Ka means little, limba means music. It's a Kalimba. And just with two thumbs, you can play these notes so gently. Well, I'll hold it a little bit closer so you can see me just playing a very simple scale. Do, re, mi. Play two together anywhere, and you get thirds, basic harmonies. Then I'll go over to the microphone and I'll play you the last note of this chord. Can you hear it go whoa, 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 whoa? You open and close. There are two holes in the back. Open and close them like this, and it gives you that wonderful effect. That's an instrument called the Kalimba, and I used to distribute them all around this country years ago, but I'm a terrible businessman, and I had no idea how to do that. So I gave the business to a man who works in Arizona, and if you want one of these Kalimbas, and it's very easy to play them, give him a call or look him up. It's called kalimbamagic.com. Kalimba Magics, and he's a nice guy, and he imports all these instruments from my father's old factory in South Africa, where he helped a lot of people by employing them, making these wonderful instruments. And that's just a little bit about the Kalimba. Susan?
Oh, we're going to move very shortly into the Soundbath, which is the singing bowls that you see behind me. And Paul will explain that to you in a moment, but I want to get us ready for that by doing one more breathing exercise. And so what I would like to have you do is again sit down either on the floor, in a chair, but so you have a little bit of an ability to sit up straight. Because if you're trying to do a breathing exercise and you're all crumpled over, it's very hard for your lungs to get the support that they need to really fill up. Now, this is the truth. What you really need to do if you're trying to strengthen your breathing is to strengthen the exhale part of your breathing. The inhale, people even with asthma think they can't get enough air in. What it really is that you need more pressure and more power to get the breath out. So I would like to do an exercise with you that is called ratio breathing, ratio, R-A-T-I-O, so that the inhale is half as long as the exhale. Or, to say it another way, the exhale is twice or double the amount of time as the inhale. Now we're only going to go up to the number 5. So our first one would be a breath in counting for only one count, pausing for one count, for 2 counts. So we have to hold it for 2. And then we exhale for 2. Then it's breathing in for 2 and pausing. And then we exhale for 4. So that's double 2 is 4. Then we breathe in for 3, out for 6, in for 4, out for 8. And finally we breathe in using 5 counts. We pause and then we breathe out or exhale for as many as 10. So obviously that one's going to be the hardest one, and we build up to it. And we'll do it twice. So the first time it may be a struggle. You may not have ever done this before, and you may go, what is she having us do? This is very complicated, or I can't catch my breath. But I promise you, if you would practice this, it will increase your breath power. All right, here we go. So get in a comfortable position, put your feet down. I think I made one mistake. When I say breathe in, you're not going to hold it for 2. You're just going to breathe in for 1 count, pause, and then breathe out for 2 and pause. So there's only short pauses, but double the exhale. I like to have my hands pressing down on my knees if you're sitting, or it's a little harder to do lying, but you could do it lying down as well. You can do it wherever you are. Here we go. Round 1. We'll go up to 5. And breathing in, count 1, pause. Exhale, count 2, 1, pause. Inhale, count 1, 2, pause. Exhale, count 4, 3, 2, 1, pause. Inhale, count 1, 2, 3, pause. Exhale, count 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, pause. Inhale, count 1, 2, 3, 4, pause. Exhale, count 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, pause. Last one. Breathing in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pause. Exhaling 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, pause. Let's take some recovery breaths. That just means, as I told you earlier, that you breathe in and out any way you need to. You can sigh. You just get yourself kind of organized again and kind of recovered from that exercise. And we're going to do it one more time now that you know what we're doing. It'll be easier this time, I promise you. It's a matter of planning. And breathing in, count 1, pause. Exhale, count 2, 1, pause. Inhale, count 1, 2, pause. Exhale, count 4, 3, 2, 1, pause. Inhale, count 1, 2, 3, pause. Exhale, count 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, pause. Inhale, count 1, 2, 3, 4, pause. Exhale, count 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, pause. Last one. Inhale, count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pause. Exhale, count 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, pause. Recovery breaths. Just breathe in. Good. And now we're going to move over to Paul. I'm going to move out of the way so you can see the singing bowls. And then we're going to do a meditation of about 8 minutes, just relaxing and being in the most comfortable of positions while Paul plays them for you.
Well, the crystal singing bowls, they're made of the kind of glass that is called crystals. And I'm going to play a random melody. I haven't worked it out. It's just improvised. But it's designed to hit the right spots in your body. So you might find that the C note here really strikes you in the solar plexus. It may be. It may be the spot that you find. Or the bottom C note here, that might feel good even lower. Or the high notes. Maybe that inspires you somewhere in your brain, who knows? So allow the notes just to get into your body and react. And I would love to hear if you get any reaction to this. One day, let me know, okay? Here we go.
So this is a time that you want to be very comfortable and relaxed. Maybe lying down, maybe with your feet over a chair in the couch, and just enjoy for a few minutes. Very, very slowly begin to lengthen your breathing. And just ease yourself back into greater awareness. And just hopefully you feel a little calmer, a little bit more relaxed. And take your time breathing a little more deeply. And coming up to a seated position if you feel like it. And if you don't. You all can put yourself in whatever position you would like. But we're not going to do a writing exercise for this one, but I want you just to think about it. What kinds of feelings did you have? Did you have any? You didn't have to have any if you didn't. You don't have to make some up. Maybe you fell asleep. That's okay too. Maybe some images happen. But we are going to conclude the workshop with a final song. Paul will introduce it, and then I will be guiding some movements which I'll tell you what they're based on.
Okay, good. This is a love song for a city. The city is Salford, which is part of Manchester City. Up north in England there is Liverpool and there's Manchester. They're close to each other. And Salford has been, had humans in it, I think, since the Bronze Age. They found bronze leftovers there. And when the Romans were there, Romans were very careless. They dropped 550, apparently, bronze coins, Roman coins, which they found much later, of course. So Salford has been very busy for a long time. It became more famous in more recent years as a textile, industrial sort of place. It's got docks there. The docks were bombed during the Second World War. They must have been making ammunition or something for the military. And the other thing it's famous for, this city, apart from its industry, is the birth of a man called MacColl. And I talked about him before, and he's married to another woman I've talked about before, Peggy Seeger. And she wrote a song, which I sang last time, and this time it's a song that MacColl wrote as a sort of love song for his city. And there's one line in there, it says, what's it say? It says, I'm gonna buy an axe, shining steel, tempered in the fire. And that's why we're gonna get Madeline, our friend, to play the offbeat, bang, 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 just like a steel industry. It gives it a sort of nice pulse. And you'll get the feeling of what a dirty old town it really is. And that's the name of the song, A Dirty Old Town. One interesting thing before I get to Susan's part is that, if you'll notice, there are no rhymes in this song. But interesting, you don't notice because the words are so descriptive of scenes in the city that you don't need the rhymes. It's an unusual one not to have rhymes. Now I'm going to ask you to sing along, just in part of it, because every fourth line says, dirty old town, dirty old town. So all you have to do is sing along with me. It's very simple. Okay, Susan, what are you going to do?
Well, we've been talking about this. What kind of movements would I do? Because we like to do a little mirroring exercise or some kind of movement exercise at the end. And I thought, this is a factory town. This is a town where they make things, particularly textiles and...
well, that's the main thing I know about, but I mean, obviously there's steel.
So machines themselves, of course, are made of metal, primarily. Yes. A little wood, but primarily metal. So we decided that I would do very repetitive movements, like machines do. So if you'd like to join me, please do. You can do it standing or sitting. I'm just doing it so you can do it whichever way. But if you're a dancer and you like, or you're not a dancer and you like to dance, just stand up and use your whole body. But otherwise, I'll be doing it primarily gesturally. But the idea is repetition and movements that have to go over and over again. So I'll change them, and hopefully you'll enjoy doing it with me.
Or clap on the offbeat. I left my love. It goes like that. Okay, here we go. I left my love by the gasworks croft, dreamed a dream by the old canal. kissed my love by the factory wall. Dirty old town, dirty old town. Smoke is drifting across the moon. Cats are prowling along their beat. Spring's a girl in the street at night. Sing dirty old town, dirty old town. Bing, 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 bing. I heard a siren from across the docks. Saw a train set the night on fire. Felt the breath of a smoky wind. Dirty old town, dirty old town. I'm going to buy me a good sharp axe, shining steel tempered in the fire, cut you down like an old dead tree. Dirty old town, dirty old town. Once again, dirty old town, dirty old town. Dirty Old Town, you and MacColl's wonderful song.
I hope you enjoyed that. We did. We've enjoyed having you. We've enjoyed sharing with you. Paul in my life has been a very interesting one. Paul, as you know, comes from different countries. I was lucky enough to snag him when he was here in the States. But he's shared his life with me as well. Now, I want to kind of end this by returning to one of my most favorite poems of all time. And it is a poem found in the Bible. It's called To Everything There's a Season. And they're not quite sure who the author of it was. They think it may have been King Solomon, but they don't know for sure. But it's certainly the Byrds and others have created this song, which you are probably familiar with, an old folk song of To Everything There Is a Season and a Time to Every Purpose Under Heaven. And I wanted to just kind of end this by taking the part that is about stones. And it says, there is a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together. And it seems to me that we're kind of ending a very difficult year for all of us. That's why we decided to do these workshops, because we decided to try and lift your spirits and lift your hope for the future. And I would like us to gather stones together and, like the quote in the beginning, build something with these stones that benefits all of us, that gives us more security, more possibilities, more creativity, more imagination, and more connection. So in yoga, the way we end our class usually is that we put our hands together at the Anjali Mudra, or the heart chakra. And this is where kindness and love is thought to emanate. And we want to tap into our own kindness and love. And then we usually end with a sound, an ancient sound that is supposed to be one of the earliest sounds ever created. It's supposed to be power and connection and inspiration. And it's called Om. And we do it at the end of every yoga class. So join me if you would for this. So take a breath in. And let the kindness and love in your heart breathe out with gratitude and perhaps even forgiveness. And we always say this at the end. We take our hands and we try to acknowledge something greater than us, whatever that is for you, the kindness and love in your own heart, and your inner teacher, who we've been talking to this whole time. And then we say, Shanti.
Shanti.
Which means, it's a beautiful word meaning peace. Take peace with you. Breathe it out on everyone. Now this is our last workshop, but you can review these, as I said at the beginning of the class, on our website, our YouTube site, which I share with Scott Powell. And he's the one that created most of the things that are on that site. And it is yogamomentswithsusan.com. It's just Yoga Moments with Susan, and it takes you. And all of these 5 workshops, well, this one will be put up in the next few days, but the other 4 are featured under playlists. So you go to playlist, and you've got them right there. You can revisit them. They're yours to use or to share. Anything you want to say?
Yes, I'm much better on the recordings than I was at live today.
And also, I want to give special thanks to our dear, dear friend Madeline Dom, who's been our kind of producer director and tech person, as well as John Lightfoot, who has hosted this workshop for you today. Goodbye. Thank you very, very much. Namaste.